February 24th, 2012, from the stylish high-tech underground studios of Ribbit Media in Warwick, Rhode Island, this is NewsUndies. For February 24th, 2012, this is NewsUndies, all the news that shouldn't be news. I'm Paul Torville with these headlines. CNN reports traces of arsenic found in baby formula. CNN fails to report traces of arsenic in almost everything. From the stewing in his own juices department, life in prison for the underwear bomber. Elizabeth Smart gets married. Big deal. Caffeine inhalers, because tobacco and electronic cigarettes are such winners. Gay Republican Arizona Sheriff Paul Babot resigns as Arizona Romney campaign chair. Ex-boyfriend Jose accused him of threatening to have him deported as an illegal immigrant. Talk about drama queens. Prescription drug dangers. Really? Like what? The listed side effects? Hey gang, it's time for celebrity birthdays once again. I got my cake hat on, let's rock. For Saturday the 11th, Ava Gabor, dead, and Tina Louise. For Sunday the 12th, Lauren Green, dead, and Judy Blume. For Monday the 13th, Chuck Yeager and Peter Tork. For Tuesday the 14th, Jimmy Hoffa, dead, and Hugh Downs. For Wednesday the 15th, Roger Chaffee, dead, and Chris Farley, dead. For Thursday the 16th, William Catt and LeVar Burton. For Friday the 17th, Hal Holbrook and Ralphie May. For Saturday the 18th, Yoko Ono and Paul Reed Smith. Wah! For Sunday the 19th, Paul Dean, wah! And Tony Iommi, wah! For Monday the 20th, Ansel Adams, dead, and Robert Altman, dead. For Tuesday the 21st, Sam Peckinpah, dead, and Irma Bombeck, dead. For Wednesday the 22nd, Arthur Schopenhauer, dead, and Robert Young, dead. For Thursday the 23rd, Paul Tibbets, dead, and Majel Barrett, dead. For Friday the 24th, Chester Nimitz and Abe Vigoda. That's celebrity birthdays. I'm Paul Torville, and I'm done! Coming up after the break, the GOP, contraception, and the benefits of self-immolation. Your childhood. George Lucas. In 1977, George Lucas made your childhood. In 1997, George Lucas took your childhood away. In 1999, George Lucas made you watch as he bent your childhood over a stump. Now, George Lucas wants you to watch him violating your childhood in 3D. Finally, someone is here to stop George Lucas from defiling your childhood memories anymore. But we need your help. The Original Trilogy Restoration Alliance has been established to raise all the money necessary to distract George Lucas from thinking Star Wars needs to be revised again. Please, give generously. This is our most desperate hour. Help us save your memories. You're our only hope. Adele. Is the GOP imploding and falling apart at the same time? Here are some recent events which might help clear up the confusion. No women were invited to participate in a congressional panel on women's health. Thank goodness the Good Old Boys Network is just a myth. Rick Santorum surges ahead to third place in a four-person field which includes perennial last placer Ron Paul. Ron Paul, Republican presidential hopeful, who has yet to win a Republican primary or caucus, reportedly considering a bid to be the king of wishful thinking. Michelle Bachmann gets interviewed by a major news network. For some reason. New Jersey's Chris Christie vetoes marriage equality in New Jersey. Could not have seen that one coming. Contraception, the suddenly hot topic, threatens to derail affordable health care. Is this a fight worth fighting? Here are Pig and Sheep with their thoughts.
Absolutely. The church's tax dollars should not be spent on stopping God from making babies. Never mind that God is all-powerful and can induce pregnancy even without sperm, to say nothing of creating the universe and everything in it. God hates little thin sheets of latex and little adjustments in women's hormones. And I do too. Amen. Woo! Seriously? Churches enjoy tax-free status, which amounts to effective federal subsidies. Unconstitutional government endorsement in the form of affirmative statements on currency, official documents, speeches, military ceremonies, to say nothing of the deference religious figures and their followers are offered by politicians, all without a quark of objectively verifiable supporting evidence. And now they want to stand in the way of the right of women to control their own reproductive tracts? Fuck that! Prove the basis of your claims. Then we can talk.
That's what Pig and Sheep think. What are your thoughts? Email them to ovcomments@newsundies.com. What's happening in the wonderful world of religion? Well, for women in Afghanistan, self-immolation turns out to be a win-win. If they die, they escape the brutal religion-sanctioned oppression wrought by their men. If they survive, they get a vacation from the men in a burn ward. Nice to see romance is not dead. If Fox News was a person, it would have thrown a complete clot over this one. An atheist family in Acton, Massachusetts has sued their local school district to get the words "under God" removed from the Pledge of Allegiance as recited in its schools. The grounds for the lawsuit are interesting. The Massachusetts state constitution has an equal protection clause. It will be interesting to see how that plays out. Jessica Alquist, the Cranston, Rhode Island high school junior who sued her high school district and won to have a 30-foot prayer banner removed from the school, is set to be the recipient of a scholarship set up by blogger Hemant Mehta, also known as the Friendly Atheist. The fund is made up of donations and is currently at around $43,000. If you want to donate, you have till the end of February. And what have Catholics been up to? Well, flocks of new cardinals, a last day of excess, ashen smudges, and the beginning of Lent, the Catholic, festival? Wherein you give up some vice or luxury for 40 days. A hint to my Catholic pals, for a much happier Lent next year, instead of giving up beer or chocolate, give up Catholicism. Don't go away. Coming up after the break, True Romance, A Study in Priorities, and Buns in Remote Ovens.
Soot. You've been hearing a lot of not-so-nice things about soot. Mostly from tree-hugging, dirt-worshipping pansy liberals and people who think breathing is important. They will talk the ears off your head, droning on and on about wind and solar and renewable energy. What they don't tell you is that soot built America. Our modern post-industrial society owes everything to soot. If it wasn't for coal-fired power and diesel-powered transportation, America would grind to a halt. That's a fact. And as long as we have anything to say about it, and as long as there's profit to be made in government subsidies on soot, we're going to do everything we can to keep it that way. We're America's soot industry. Profitable, ugly, traditional, American.
Bob Morris. And now, here's Ryan Hanley with another Jeff Goldblum fact.
You know Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum played a vampire in a Goosebumps game. It was probably the best thing about Goosebumps. Not to mention the best thing about vampires. He'd kick Robert Pattinson's ass, I know that much. Glittering bastard. Back to you.
Thanks, Ryan. Fascinating. And now, here's Moos Weintraub with the Sports Half Minute.
Moos Weintraub Sports Half Minute. It's a whole half minute This is your Sports Half Minute. I'm Moos Weintraub. Kobe Bryant and his wife have been spotted kissing.
Moos Weintraub Sports Half Minute.
Thanks, Moose. Always a great report from Moose. In case you hadn't heard, Whitney Houston has passed away. While the Syrian government crackdown continues, leaving hundreds dead and religious lunatics strong-arm the president into special compromises over contraception coverage in health insurance, the news could not stop telling me Whitney Houston is dead, as if that fact was likely to change at any moment. The good news is I know every possible thing about Whitney Houston's funeral. As the wall-to-wall coverage of this non-event continues, a rousing tribute to Whitney Houston fails to rouse Whitney Houston. Personally, I'm looking forward to a time when the media stops reminding me of Whitney Houston, so I can remember her myself, when and if I want to. The real capper, if CNN had spent as much time on each military member killed in action in Iraq and Afghanistan as they did on Whitney Houston or Michael Jackson, maybe it wouldn't have taken a decade to get out of those two countries. And finally, and I do mean finally, we all saw this coming, didn't we? First, manufacturing was outsourced to Japan, then to China and Taiwan, and then to India. Then software development moved to India. Tech support went overseas next. Now, gestational surrogacy. If there's one country with a lot of experience making babies, it's India. And now you can take advantage of that experience and the low labor and living costs of this South Asian economy, while helping to bring some of the poorest people in the developing world into economic independence. What? Is there something weird about that? Well, that's all for this edition of NewsUndies. If you see news that shouldn't be news, you can submit your story tips online to NewsUndies.com. NewsUndies is a bi-weekly show. We'll be back on March 9th with fresh undies. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Paul Torville. After that, I might be undermining God's omnipotence and foiling his plan with a few facial tissues and adhesive bandages.
It worked this time! It frickin' worked!